Welcome to Off Track, the motorcycle racing podcast, brought to you in proud partnership with J&S Accessories and B-Moto Motorcycle Insurance.
Hello and welcome to the Devitt MCN London Motorcycle Show. I'm delighted to say, joining me at the show, Barry Nutley. Barry, welcome to Off Track.
Thanks, Steve. Good to be here.
It's an absolute pleasure to have you on the show. What a fantastic event that they put on down at XL this year.
Yeah, I mean, particularly so because we've all the tricky times, haven't we, being away with COVID and everything. And yes, we were here last year, but even that was a bit tentative. And now you just get the feeling that people want to be out and about and they want to come to shows.
And the turnout today is fantastic. I'm over the moon by that. I thought it was going to be a little bit quiet today, but the show, it's looking very healthy. And this, with the drag strip that we've got now, do you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, it's new because historically we've had a bit of an oval and we get superstars and some other people riding little 100cc bikes and speedway, call it what you like, but it's action, action, action. And I think MCN decided it was time to ring the changes, do something different. So we've got a thing called Super Sprint, which is a 70-metre course. As you can see behind us, a complete variety of bikes, some professional riders, some stars. McGuinness is here, Peter Hickman's here. Some really big names are taking bikes up that strip, and we are down to 4 seconds for 70 metres.
Which is incredible. I saw Peter do that on the BMW M1000RR earlier on. What an incredible run that was.
It is, and stopping it, as we just saw, is a bit different at the other end.
Yeah, did somebody have a little bit of a whoopsie in that last one?
Yeah.
Are they okay?
On the big Harley, yeah, it's okay. Yeah.
Oh, that's all the main thing.
Yeah.
And, I mean, for people of our generation to be stood next to this, the most iconic motorcycle, I think, in the history of British motorcycle racing, the number 7 of Barry Sheen's Suzuki, Texaco Heron Suzuki, this kind of makes the hairs on the back of your neck stand up.
There are 2 XR14s here, which was the latest version of the RG500 at the time. Barry's 76 and 77 championship winning bikes are here. They look identical, but when you know and look round, there are subtle differences.
Like what?
The stroke, for example, the bore and stroke, and I'm assuming people who listen to this know what we're talking about.
Absolutely.
When we say bore and stroke. The early one was square, 54 by 54. The later one was 50.6 by 57, which made it a longer stroke and therefore got there a little bit slower than the square one, which revved a bit harder.
Incredible. And that's the fantastic knowledge and the beauty of what you do and the fact that you're still involved in the sport after a couple of decades of work within the sport, Barry. You're still looking as fresh as ever.
Thank you. This is actually 2023 is my 40th season of TV commentary. So I want to make it happen. Hopefully I'll see the end of it.
I don't see any reason why
We'll just keep on going. You know, I've got a busy year ahead of me. I'm looking forward to it.
What are the plans for this year for you?
Primarily I do the World Sidecar Motocross Championship TV on site at all the rounds. I've got 14 rounds in 11 countries of that.
Wow. I'm
waiting for Eurosport to talk to me about sidecars in the BSB paddock.
Yes.
There are 5 rounds of sidecars running with BSB. I've had a phone call with Goodwood, so it could be back at Goodwood. So there's lots going on, but the backbone of my season will be the World Sidecar Motocross Championship.
How much do you enjoy the sidecar on the Motocross Sidecar World Championship?
It was my background. That's how I got into TV. I raced as a passenger for 10 seasons, drove for 6. Before that, I was a solo motocrosser. And when I retired at approaching 40, it was then I got into television with Screen Sport, who were the pioneers of satellite television.
Of course.
In 1984. 2 years with Screen Sport and then sent a VHS to the BBC, and the rest is history.
Looking at some of the older footage of like World of Sport Transatlantic Challenge and moving forward with that alongside Roger Burnett, who was co-host at the time, you've seen an awful lot of history over the years.
And loved it. And I like being in the paddock, and I like to think that keeping abreast of it and keeping on top of it keeps the brain active, keeps the grey matter working. And, you know, I do my work at home, I read a lot, and so I just love what I do, and thank God that I'm still healthy enough to do it. What's
been your biggest highlight so far? And I say so far because hopefully there are more years left yet.
In 87, I also had a day job with Goodyear for 25 years, a long career. I was in my Goodyear office and I got a phone call from a guy called David Hill. My name's David Hill. I'm calling you from Sydney.
Oh.
And he was Channel 9, and it was the year that Wayne Gardner won the 500cc World Championship. And he said, we got a bloke over here with this World Championship. We think he might win the bloody thing. He said, would you, they say, call the races. Would you call the races for us?
Yeah.
I said, I'd absolutely love to. He said, right, that's okay. My girl will be on the phone and sort out the... By the way, we've got another bloke over here. He said, you might know him. His name's Barry Sheen. We'd like him to work with you. So 87, Barry Sheen and I did all of the European GPs
Fabulous.
in Wayne Gardner's championship year for Channel 9 Australia. And what a season that was. I think that has to go down as the highlight.
I think that's an incredible memory. And I remember up until his passing, Barry worked a lot with Channel 9, didn't he? He was very much a stalwart.
He did.
From that season onwards, really.
He did. And he was great fun. I knew him a little bit before, but when you travel with someone and stay in hotels and cross airports, he was a very humble man. He would stop and talk to anyone. It sometimes took us, Dave, an hour to get from the check-in to the gate, simply because he was an international face. Wherever you went in the world, he was known.
He was Barry Sheen.
And people would stop and sign autographs. He never said, sorry, I'm in a hurry. He'd give them
Wonderful.
time. And lovely man.
Wonderful. That's something, ideally, hopefully sometime in the early summer with your schedule and our schedule, we'll do a much longer show with you, because there's so many stories that we'd love to hear from your time in the sport. What are you expecting more from this weekend? How do you expect the weekend to pan out with the times? I mean, 4 seconds on that strip.
Well,
that wall comes up pretty quick at the end there. If you get above that,
they are now just under 4. I think. That,
we've gone under. I missed that last one.
Something like 3.87. So he's under. But unfortunately, we had a bit of an incident with the Harley running on.
Yes.
And I suspect there will be a conversation with health and safety as to how we move forward for the rest of the weekend. I hope they don't curtail what we're doing, because I think it's a really good spectacle.
It is, and it's a centrepiece for the show, isn't it? It's something that brings everybody together along the barriers at the side. And we watched the first run earlier on. Everybody stopped what they were doing to come along. We have the Whiz Norton at the back, the A-Bus Norton. We've got little TZ250s. We've got these bikes. We've got the H2R. An incredible array. John McGuinness's
Absolutely.
130
It's
mile
all
an hour.
iconic stuff, isn't it?
Oh, it's incredible. And I think it's been a fantastic job that the guys have done putting the show on. And it surprised me, because sometimes the show is it is smaller than the NEC, we know that. But to bring people in from the south of the country and everywhere else, they've done a fantastic job. And the hosting this morning was absolutely spot on. You seem to be enjoying yourself.
Thank you. Well, it's one of those seat of the pants things that you get into it. And if you're confident enough to stand up and talk to the public while the brain's going as well, and that is the trick, because sometimes you haven't got a script. Well, I never have a script.
No, there was no script this morning. You were just flying by the seat of your pants and away you
keep it all
go.
going, and
the consummate professional.
that's very kind of you, thank you.
Well, normally with these interviews, we ask about the hire car story. We spoke about that before. We're going to save that for the summer, because I think that's going to be something a little bit special. So until then, Barry Nutley, enjoy the rest of the weekend, and thank you very much for your time.
It's my pleasure, Dave. Thank you.
We continue at the Devitt Insurance MCN London Motorcycle Show, and I'm absolutely delighted to say, Michael Rutter, thank you for joining us, mate. Welcome to Off Track.
Brilliant, thank you.
It's a pleasure to have you on the first time as well. All the time we've been doing podcasting, it's the first time we've actually sat down together and done a bit of a chat.
Yeah,
so.
I've seen 1 or 2 of your performances.
Oh, you've seen those as well?
Yeah.
Excellent. I didn't think you had the password for that. What brings you to the show? You've got your bikes on here. You've got Dad's bikes on here. It's your own little stand.
Basically, asked to come along and obviously do other things here as well. For MCN and that, and get some of the old bikes out, which is good to see. Obviously, my dad's Formula 1 bike here, 750, which I think he finished 3rd in the World Championship against Joey and I think Roger Marshall that year. And over there got the 350 Offenstadt, which he won British Championship on, and Northwest 200 he won, and also Grand Prix, and he was leading the last lap at TT and chain jumped off. But so it's got a bit of history that over there, and obviously our BMW, which Taylor Mackenzie won at Donington, and I've been using last year at the TT in Northwest.
I remember that moved well on Billy into Goddard.
Yeah,
he was not letting that go, was he?
Brilliant race. Brilliant.
And fantastic for the team and for you as well.
Yeah, you know, we struggled a bit in the year, and the M1000 was doing some weird things, but we got there in the end. It was a long season, but we got a few wins out of it in the end.
How much are you still enjoying racing? Because you're still here, you're still going strong, still doing the roads this year with the TT, and the same again last year. What keeps the hunger going?
I've been just brought up with it. My dad, following my dad, and you know, we're here. We're doing a book. We've booked 2 books now, Life of a Racer, and you just enjoy it, and it's just part of my life. And I explained to my sponsors, Batham's have got probably one of the best sponsors. Well, I have got the best sponsors in the world. I've got a brewery sponsor me, which I like the beer for a start. It's fantastic, and you know, they're so good, the people there. And I explained to all my sponsors, I might wake up one day and go, right, that's it. So there's no pressure on me whatsoever. I do it because I enjoy it. And I've got an RCV there,
I know,
which I'm going to run the Northwestern TT, and it's the ultimate bike. It's not the fastest bike out there by a long way nowadays, but it handles so well, and it sounds fantastic. And it's brilliant for the sponsors. It's
the most beautiful, but we'll get some videos of that before we finish. But it's the most beautiful piece of kit. I mean, it must be a true pleasure and a privilege to ride a machine of that standard.
Exactly, on open roads, you know, there's not many people in the world who have rode one, and I'm very, very lucky.
What's been, the more recent years, what's been your best memory up in the last couple of seasons?
Last few years, I think winning Macau off Peter Hickman, that was probably the best.
Yeah, that's where I was thinking.
It was probably it was a 1-lap dash, and but you have to be there to win it, don't we, Pete?
Absolutely, that's exactly right, and celebrating well into the night as well. We'll go back a little bit further. When the time comes and you do hang up your leathers, when you look back, which part of your career is going to make you smile the most?
Do you know what? Every year you've got something happens, and I've been so lucky because I've done short circuits. I've done TT, I've done Northwest, I've done endurance racing, done GP, and every year always something comes up, and you've got a memory from every year. And as we put in the books, you know, I've been so lucky, and I've ridden with some fantastic people and worked with some fantastic people. So yeah, it's I don't think you can just name one year. There's always something special pops up, and you go talking to somebody else, and they bring that story. You go, oh my God, I forgot about that. And, you know, we've had some good time.
I think that's the important thing, and one thing at some point this year, what I'd love to do is sit down and do a full podcast with you, and go back into some of the stories. We had Jack Valentine on last week, and he rode for Big Jack, and he looks back fondly on that time. Although the time was a bit difficult with the Ducati, but I think he looked back fondly on his time working with you.
I did. You know, Jack's just one of the old school. You know, says how it is, which is brilliant. You know, and if you liked it or not, you were going to get told. So yeah, we've had some. You know, in my whole of racing, there's one or two and that's it really. But I'd keep away from. But the rest of them, it's just been. I've been very lucky. I've had a lot of good team managers.
Has that helped you obviously working with Taylor McKenzie on the Batham's machine and the guys you've had with you? Has that helped you as a team owner, taking the best out of all the guys that you've worked with over the years?
Yeah, I think the thing is I'm probably too nice. You know what I mean? Because I understand I've been, excuse me, this side of it, you know, and I've been the side of being the racer as well. So, you know, sometimes you do need to kick up the arse, but I can't, you know, I just put my arm around them and just do your best. I know me being a racer, even if you're struggling, you are trying your best, and sometimes it doesn't work.
Tell me about the love for the TT, because that's, I think, the pinnacle of any road racer's career. The Ulster is a fantastic event. We've just been talking to Dom Herbertson about that. I never had the opportunity to go to the Ulster. I've been to the TT twice, and it leaves an indelible imprint. What keeps drawing you back to that place every year?
I'd say the big thing for me it's the build up to it. You know, you get there, set up there, and you know, then you suddenly they close that road off, and it suddenly happens so fast. You're there all day, and it gets to about, I think, 20 past 6. They go, right, you know, roads are closed, and you're sitting there on the grid, and there's a friendly bloke put his arm on your shoulder, and the light comes on, and then you're off down Bray Hill doing warp speed, you know, and there's nowhere else like it in the world, especially like, you know, setting off on your own, and you got 37 3/4 miles of the Isle of Man TT on a beautiful day.
Yeah, on a beautiful day. Yeah, it's an incredible place. All of the guys that when I interview them that do the TT, I always ask them the same thing, and I'll ask you as well. That point when you get to that first barrier, and you have Wazza, whoever it is, that pats you on the back and say, off you go, and you have that paddle down to the arch. First point is, what are you thinking in the time that you get there?
It's weird. It's like it goes so fast, that time does for me. It's like you look down and you check the temperature of the bike, you looking around and think, oh my God, make sure you put it in gear, because you know what I mean, it's just simple things where you think you're putting it in gear, or you got to make sure, and it's just like make sure your visor, your helmet, you know, because once you set off, that's it, you're going, and you've got 6 laps of Isle of Man TT, and you're not going to stop and adjust your helmet or your visor or something, so you got to get yourself comfortable. And then, you know, I enjoy that part of it. Some people don't, but I like the build up and the, you know, sitting on that grid and the off down Bray Hill. It's wow. And then your flying lap's the best. Next flying lap, going down Bray Hill flat out. That's the ultimate for me.
As Dom said earlier on, there are only at any given point, there are only 70 people on the whole planet that can do what you do.
Yeah, we are lucky, you know. We've to do like the Northwest 200, Macau GP, all these events. You know, they all got special things in different ways, and yeah, just hopefully they all keep going.
I hope so too, especially after the recent news over in Ireland. The last question about the TT, and I'm sure the listeners will be sick of me asking this question, but I love it because it fascinates me, is Tapman, your man with the hand on your shoulder. He has ultimate power of whether you go or you don't, but it's also that fatherly, it looks like a fatherly hold. It's like, away you go, son, or daughter. You know, when Jenny was racing, are you aware of that, or are you just focused on the road and you just wait for the tap?
You have got the tap, but you're looking at the light in the old box, you should say. It's gone now.
It's gone now, yeah.
You know, I wanted that light bulb. You know, I looked at that light bulb since '93, I think. I know, probably the same light bulb. I mean, I've seen that light hanging there in the tower, and yeah, God, he's, you know, I've been at early morning practices at the old.
Yeah.
I used to have early morning practices at, what was it, 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, some special times.
Which is your favourite section of the course? Which section do you look forward to attacking the most? Or do you have one, I suppose is the question.
Like I said before, I think your flying lap, going past the grandstand, and off down Bray Hill, at the bottom of Bray Hill, in the bottom of there, going over the top of Agos. I like that bit, when it's a good bike, a nice summer day, and the sound off the walls as well, going over St. Indians. Yeah, it's a magic place.
Do you, and this might be a strange question, but I'm never going to get to experience what you do in any way, shape or form. Do you get to be in the moment of what you're doing? The experience that you've got, are you forever 3 or 4 corners ahead, or do you have the capacity to go, oh, got that bit right, that felt good, or are you just forever?
Yeah, it's just basically you can't really think in front. You got to think what's happening at that time. Once that section out the way, you have parts where you really enjoy, and you go, right, this is fantastic, and then you come to a bit where you, I don't like this, I'm nervous. So yeah, it's difficult, but I've always found just relax, try and enjoy it, and it's a lot less effort involved then.
That's the secret, I think, to a good TT, isn't it? Is relaxing around it, because if you try and fight the course, you tend to go slower.
100%. You know, I've gone off the line and had pump up within a few miles, and then you relax, then you're okay then for the rest of the 6 laps.
Which event do you look forward, if all the events are on the calendar and it's a standard year and every event's going to happen, which event do you look forward to the most?
If I didn't like them, I wouldn't do them.
That's a fair shot. No, that's a fair answer.
I've got to say I enjoy them all. Different ways, I'd say, but TT especially, I think it's the build-up and being in the Isle of Man. I love the Isle of Man. Going to Ireland, going down those straights, doing 200 mile an hour, all slipstreaming each other with the crowd at the Northwest so near to the track. Ultimate. Then we go to Macau and all those barriers and the Chinese, and you can hear the crowd. It's they've all got a magic touch to them.
We were at the Northwest this year, and that was my first time there. That place is fascinating because it's such a unique circuit, and it has so many different variations to it in different parts of it. But that run down to Station Corner, it's probably the first time all year that you've been able to open a bike up, right to the stops. When you're going through there for the first time, how are you feeling on that first practice night?
That is probably one of the scariest corners at the Northwest, and to take it flat out, it is. Once you've done it once or twice, it's okay, but especially on a new bike, you were a bit tentative with it. But what an ultimate corner that is, especially when you're coming up behind someone or slipstreaming someone, and you got to dive just in front of them, or they dive in front of you. It's like, whoa. When it rains, that's another story.
I can't even imagine what it's like. That's next level. It's tricky enough in the dry without throwing the wonderful Northern Irish weather at it. That's an incredible way. Tell us about the books. Give the books a plug, because that's ultimately why you're here. 2 books
out. We've got Life of a Racer, which is the book when I started, really. All of me coming through, a lot of stories about my dad and me growing up. And then, unfortunately, we lost my dad and my mum in the same year. So I've done a book, mainly a lot of people's stories about my dad have come up and said, "Oh, I bet this is your dad." No, I never knew about them. And then there was a lot of stories from what we couldn't put. We had enough stories to do 2 books. So we combined them with my dad, and it's a bit of a tribute to my dad as well. So it's 2 different books, but you can read them either way.
Wonderful. And they're available on Amazon and all good bookshops, Gilbert H. Smith, wherever you can get hold of them. Website as well?
We've got a website, marcorutter200.com. You can buy from Amazon, but we don't like plugging that.
Get the plugs in there straight away. And that's why it's so great to see your dad's bikes here as well, because it's such a rich history in the sport as well, which you followed on with beautifully. So but make sure Amazon is the place to get the books. Make sure you get them and have a read. They're fantastic. To round off, because I know you've got a busy day on the show, I ask every guest the same question, and I know you're going to have some, because you have a rich history in the sport, and if you've watched one of our shows before, you know what the question is. What's your best hire car story, Michael?
Oh, can't mention that. It isn't me, actually. It's Shaky. Shaky's the worst person. Do not lend him a thing. He will damage it. We've had some good laughs, me and Shaky, but don't lend him a rental car, for God's sake.
What was your best experience in it? Oh, we've had some great stories. It won't be. We've had jumping at Daytona. We've had cars driven into the beach. So don't be shy.
You think, oh my God, what? But we got. There's like so many, and I just seen David Eel came here today, old teammate of ours, and we're in Italy, and like you'd be sitting there in your Fiat Punto or whatever, and they get slammed up the back. And it's just shocking, really. It's proper wrong, really, in a way. But yeah, we've had some. I can't really talk about them, but we've had some.
Most people do. You get 2 people that answer that question. They either go, or they go, ah. And Jack was telling us about Daytona and the things he got up to there, and some amazing stories there. Michael, I'd love to do this again in the summer, but let's do a full chat. We'll sit down, have a couple of beers, and talk about all the good times, talk about your dad and the history in the sport. Would you be up for that?
Yeah, sure, definitely.
Fantastic. Thank you for joining us at the show. We wish you a successful weekend. Get plenty of those books sold, and we'll catch up in the summer.
Thank you. Cheers.
Brilliant. Thanks, Michael. We're still at the Devitt Motorcycle News London Bike Show. I'm delighted to say, Lee Johnston, welcome to Off Track, mate. Nice to see you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome, mate. We're doing the run up and down the little sprint course here at XL. running your own bike on this. Tell us a bit about the bike.
So this is the RC45 that we had last year at the Manx Grand Prix, or the Classic TT. I don't really know what I'm supposed to call it, but at that event in the Classic Superbike class. So since then we've put a new motor and stuff in it, and so we thought we might as well come here and just give it a little run. It's obviously got TT gearing and stuff on, so it's a little bit too high geared for the job we're trying to do today. But no, it's just nice. I think people love seeing the bike. We found that out at the Classic, that the attention it got was unbelievable. So yeah, we're just using it as another excuse to get it out, get some hours on the motor, and get a run on it.
She's a rare old beast, isn't she?
Oh yeah,
absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
What's the story behind her?
So it was originally a factory bike, and we've recently bought another bike. Basically last year we weren't really equipped to go to the Classic. We sort of was a last minute thing, and yeah, we set off to do that. So this year we're putting a bigger effort in. We're going to race this and a 250 as well, all in the same colours. Not these colours, we've got different colours, and it's going to hopefully look like what a factory Honda team should have looked like back in the day. So yeah, I'm a little bit excited. I'm quite into all that retro stuff, so yeah, I'm quite excited for trying to make that happen.
You just answered my next question. How much are you looking forward to getting out there on these older bikes, and the 250 as well? It harks back to the glory days, doesn't it? Which you don't get a chance to do much anymore, so it's the perfect opportunity.
Yeah, I love the Classic TT, or the Manx, whatever I'm supposed to call it. I love being there. It's such a relaxed atmosphere, and you just meet a whole different. I love the people at the TT, but I'm just under so much pressure and stuff at that time, and it's hard to talk to people. So I get a lot more time for people and stuff when we're at the Classic. So yeah, I really enjoy that meeting. What's
the plans for 2023? You had some health issues, it's fair to say, over the last sort of 12 or 18 months. What's the prognosis for 23? Yeah, so I'm feeling good at the minute. Everything's been good, and I'm actually back in the hospital on Monday for some more checks, just general checks and stuff. But things are going good at the minute, and we plan on doing some more British Supersport, and then along with the roads, whatever roads there is. I want to do some more road racing in Europe, so like a Matra in Finland and Froberg and places like this. So I'm quite keen to do stuff like that, so I'm speaking to the organisers at the minute, and then obviously the TT, and I don't know if the Ulster will happen or stuff like that, but yeah, and then same thing, Classic TT. Have you done in Matra and places like that before? No, I've done Froberg before, but not a Matra or anything like that, so yeah, I would like to go. I've been watching on YouTube and stuff, and it looks quite cool. Is it nice to have those options now, rather than being at the forefront of racing? You can actually now choose a little bit more of what you want to do. Yeah, well, I think that's just down to the running the team myself and having a really good boss and stuff. You know, if I went and signed for a factory team like Honda, and then that wouldn't happen. And I love the British Championship and I love racing there, but it's a little bit monotonous, you know what I mean? And all honestly, if I did win the British Supersport Championship, it doesn't really benefit my career, it doesn't benefit me financially and stuff. So I'm not going to go and try and be a British Superbike rider. I don't have that, you know, I'm not got that interest. I don't think I would be fit to do it anyway. But yeah, so it's nice to have these other options to want to do these things. One thing when I get a chance to speak to the TT riders and to road racers, it's something that I'll never get to experience. You know, you're one of, talking to Dom yesterday, you're one of 70 people at any one time that can sit up on that Glen Crutchery road. It makes the hairs on my neck stand up just thinking about it now. When you get up to that first gate and the mechanic pats you on the back and you're paddling through, what's going through your mind at that point? Well, for starters, I don't paddle through because my feet don't touch the ground, so Neil pushes the bike right to the front for me. But yeah, it's different. It different feelings at different times in the week. The first night of practice is so relaxed and I'm so excited to get going, and then as the pressure builds and then obviously races starts and stuff, it gets more and more intense. And yeah, and then when the first race comes, then it's like, yeah, pressure's on then. So yeah, a mixture of feelings. But yeah, I think someone said to me the other day, more people have climbed Everest than have ever raced at the TT, so that gives you a bit of an idea of how rare it is. And I think we're lucky, do you know what I mean? I see it as being really lucky, A, that I get to do this as my job, and B, get to do the TT. So yeah, it's an amazing place. Which part of the course do you look forward to riding the most? I try not to not like anywhere, but I love riding the mountain part. Once I get to Ramsey and stuff and I'm on my way back, I absolutely love the open flowingness of that section. It's quite smooth and it's more like short circuit feeling. So yeah, I enjoy that bit, and plus it's a nice view as well. It's always nice to have a bit of nice scenery when you're riding. So
yeah, it's good.
So as you look back over the career so far, what's been the highlights for you?
Winning the TT. Yeah, that's the only, no matter where you go in the world, and if someone asks you race a motorbike and you say, yeah, say I won a TT, they know. You don't need to explain to them what that is or anything like that. So, yeah, I never thought that would happen. And
why
so,
not?
I don't know. As a kid growing up in Northern Ireland, that was like the biggest race in the world to me. And I don't know. I just never, I never expected. I think even when I was racing, even when I started doing the TT, I thought, it'd be amazing to try and win one. So, and then when I did win it, it sort of took a long time to sink in, and now I want to win another one. So, yeah.
Yeah, it breeds it, doesn't it? Success breeds success. At what point on the final lap did you know you were winner? You get pit boards in two places?
I didn't know I'd won until I crossed the line, and you turn up the return road, and there's a load of people, there's thousands of people there, and I stopped at this guy, and I was like, I've won, and he was just like shouting, like, I think he was pissed, to be honest, but he was shouting like really loud, and I couldn't make any sense of it, so I just went to ask the guy next to him, and I goes, have I won or not? And he goes, I think you have, but I'm not certain. So I didn't know until I got up, literally seen Paul Phillips and stuff. And it's just amazing feeling.
Are you happy back there again this year?
Yeah, everything's all go again, running new Hondas and stuff in Superbike and Super Stock and Super Sport, Super Twin. So yeah, full stable of bikes. So super excited to get back.
What manufacturer were you BMW last year? We swapped to the Honda. What was the reason?
Just we had some problems with the BMW, and everybody seemed to be going quite well on the Honda, just as a general base package. So for a team like us that doesn't run the big bike all the time, it looked like a better option. So yeah, I'm looking forward to getting. I haven't even rode the bike yet or anything. We're going to go testing in a few weeks. So really looking forward to getting out on the bike.
You're going to hop on the back of the British Superbike test, or are you going to private test it?
We're at private test with Honda. There are 2 tests, and then we're not going to the actual VSB test, just them 2 tests, and then it's 7 days or something's enough time. When you get to my age, if you can't figure out what to do after 7 days, it's enough, right?
You've got enough experience to make that happen, haven't you? Talk us through this lid makes. I'm looking at the Paint Nation that we got in front of us here. It's an absolutely stunning design. Where did that come from?
This actually has never been used. So it was for the Classic TT last year, and I never ended up using it. I've brought it here. We've got a new helmet to come out this year and stuff, and because I'm going to do a vlog on the launch of the new helmet, I didn't want to bring it here and everyone see it. So yeah, that's going to happen, I think, next week before we go testing. The new helmet's going to get launched, and then the vlog will come out whenever after that. But
and as a successful vlogger as well.
Nah, I don't know about that. It started as a bit of a joke, and it's sort of, more people talk to me now about YouTube than they do about
But the channel's incredible. Yeah. The figures that you're hitting, the people that are enjoying your content is fantastic. But you gabbling on about general day-to-day stuff.
This is the thing that I don't really understand as to...
Welcome to the world of social media and videos.
I don't know. I am terrible with anything electronic. I can just about send an email. My Mrs. Christie, she just taught herself how to edit. There's no background thing. No. It's nothing. It's literally us two. I still don't know how to really figure out what you're supposed to do with thumbnails and whatever else, but yeah, I don't know. If someone asked me for some advice on YouTube, I wouldn't have a clue. So
you basically managed to wing it.
Yeah, pretty like my whole career basically. But I enjoy doing them. I enjoy doing the videos, and Christy enjoys editing them. She likes doing it, so it's worked out really, really well. She just fits it around her own training work and stuff. So yeah, it's worked out well.
It's the joys of teamwork, us too.
Exactly. Yeah, lucky to have good women. That's the secret.
Behind every good man's an even greater woman. Yeah, I think that's the way. But then the figure, it's absolutely fantastic. And you say, for something, if you sat there and planned it, it wouldn't feel the same.
Yeah,
walking into work, just holding the camera, and people are loving it.
Yeah, I don't really know what. We're at the point now where some companies have come and wanted to be involved in some advertising and stuff, and I'm cautious because I sort of started it as a joke, and I wanted to just let people see stuff, and then I don't want to start trying to sell people something, on the same thing. So I've turned a few things, the Bennett's thing happened because they wanted to sponsor the channel, and I sort of said no, and then I said, but I'll build a bike and we can give it away, and then that worked out. But yeah, so I'm just a bit cautious of, I sort of race my motorbike as my job, and I don't want them either to cross over and stuff. So yeah, I'm quite cautious of that side of things. I don't want people to think, oh, he's just sold himself out again. Yeah.
It's nice to keep it personal because that's the way you built it.
Yeah, that's the way I want to try
and it's doing well enough to stand on its own 2 feet anyway, which is testament to you two and what you've done.
Christy.
Just one thing, two more questions before we do. Oliver's Mount, will you return and race there?
Depending on the calendar, yeah, I would like to, because obviously it's the closest track for our team. We're only like 10 mile away from there. I would like to, but yeah, it just depends on what's like events are around, and if it's like right before the TT, obviously it's too risky and stuff like that. But yeah, maybe after in the year, but then that's when we want to go to Europe to them other events and stuff. So yeah, if we can, I would like to, but it just depends on.
You still enjoy racing there?
Yeah,
it's an incredible place.
Yeah, if the weather's nice, it's one of the best places to ride. So yeah.
Somewhere to get back to natural racing, which works so well. One final question. I ask the same question of everybody, and I know you've got one, so don't lie to me. What's your best hire car story?
Oh, I've got some. No, I'm not going to say anybody's name.
No, you don't have to.
But
some do. Some throw people under the bus willy-nilly.
I was once in a hire car where the driver, a famous motorbike racer, put the car from, I'm going to say, 4th gear into reverse and put a massive hole in the engine, like stopped. I don't think we'd really even got out of the airport, and rung the hire company and said, we've had an electrical problem. And the guy come out and was looking in the fuse box of the car for the problem. And there was there must have been, I don't know how many litres of oil in that car engine hose, but it was all on the bloody floor, I know that much. And I mean, I was trying so hard not to, I felt terrible, but not to laugh at this guy looking in the fuse box for a fuse that when there was a hole in the engine about this size. So yeah, but that was a long time ago when I was young and stupid, but it wasn't me driving.
But that's all that matters. It's amazing how many people distance themselves from you. Yeah, I've got a hire car story, but it was nothing to do with me. No. Not me, Chief.
Innocent bystander.
I was sat in the back. Lee Johnston, thank you so much for joining us, mate. Enjoy the rest of the weekend. Wish you all the best for 23, and we'll catch up at around somewhere in the summer.
Thank you.
One final chat from the Devitt Motorcycle News London show. Ladies and gentlemen, Cheshire Mouldings FS3, Lee Jackson.
Hi,
Jacko, welcome, mate. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Good, I'm all right, thank you. We've made a bit of a habit of this over the last sort of 12 months, haven't we?
Yeah, I think the fact that you come see some motorbikes, drink some coffee and just toss about, really, you know, who can complain?
But there's no complaints, especially this time of year. There's always needing something to do, isn't it? Better than working for a living.
Yeah,
coming down to see, there's plenty of fans about down at the show. And you get to ride this beast, the Kawasaki. I mean, it's just, well, it's an amazing piece of kit, the H2R. And you're running it up a 250 metre strip of flooring here at XL.
Yeah, to be fair, obviously being in the Kawasaki brand, I've been around these quite a few times, but it's never really took my fancy, if I'm honest. I don't know, you know, for me, I'm just pure race bike, but getting to ride it today is quite cool. It's, you know, it's not the biggest drag strip, but it's nice to get the back wheel spinning and making some noise for the crowd.
But the cool thing was that the guys were here doing it yesterday. Craig Watson was riding it yesterday, the big boss at Kawasaki. You turn up today and kind of obliterate the pace. The BSB rider turns up, asserts his authority, and then just sits there and go, there you go, boys, beat that.
Yeah, when I got told about it, I wasn't really sure what the crack was. And then I saw the videos and stuff yesterday. I was like, oh, I get it now. And then turn up today and realise there's the rear tyre warmer on as well. So it got a bit serious, a bit quick, I think. So, you know, everyone else has got no tyre warmers, but yeah, we're having a laugh, and if we can keep the Kawasaki brand at the top, then that's brilliant.
It's exactly right, on point as always. But there's always that racer in you, isn't there? But all the guys here, John McGuinness, Lee Johnston, Dom Herbertson, Steve Platers had a go, Michael Guy from MCN. You're all racers at heart, and although it's a bit of fun, you still want to come out top, don't you?
Oh yeah, I mean, the first thing I heard this morning was someone crashed yesterday. And I was like, crash, and I looked around, I was like, I don't want to be doing that. I don't want to be the second guy to crash, but at least I'm not the first one. So
well, no, there is that.
Yeah, I know it can get a bit serious, a bit quick, but the first run I kind of pulled away, and I was like, oh, actually, it was smoother than I expected. So hopefully this afternoon I can find a little bit of time. Have
you ridden one of these before? As Kawasaki branding, have you had a chance to ride one before? Is this the first chance?
Yeah, literally, I got on it to do the first run up there. So like road gear shift, you know. First time on the bike in a hall, and I had about 1,000 people's eyes staring at me. So yeah, it was interesting, but
No pressure.
No pressure. But this year, to be honest, I do want to get my road bike license done. So maybe that'll open the opportunities up to ride these a bit more and explore the full Kawasaki range.
I don't see why it wouldn't. Just give us a brief review of the 2022 season with the Cheshire Mouldings FS3 Kawasaki. Obviously, there were a couple of injuries, notably at Brands Hatch, that sort of hindered the season a little bit. What were the high points for you?
Yeah, the season was good. Round 1 was a bit under the radar. We just got the season rolling, and then from there on it kicked on. We got my first BSB win, and then I followed up with another one. We was on the podium like week in, week out for a lot of the season, and a few mishaps mid-season, which was a bit unfortunate. There was no like change in my riding, my mentality or anything. It just seemed to be a bit of a mishap. So very strong season, finished 4th in the championship in the end, and not finishing the last 3 rounds. So yeah, I was mega happy with the season. Obviously very unfortunate and not happy to finish the season, but yeah, great season all round, and looking forward to 2023.
It's building nicely, isn't it? It's with the brand and with the Kawasaki brand, with Cheshire Mouldings coming on board, the team is coming to the fore every season, and you're at the forefront of that now. You've got a new teammate for 2023 in Max Cook. So Rory Skinner's gone off to Moto 2, so you're the old man of the team, mate.
Yeah, it's nice. You know, the team started off relatively small, and the passion's there. You know, my crew chief, he's a family friend for years, and Nigel and Darren have got a lot of support and faith in me, and I love that, and I want to do the best job I can for them guys. And you know, Max is a young guy. He's going to obviously learn his craft this year, and I'm sure by the end of the year he'll be fighting inside the top 10, top 5, and keeping Kawasaki at the top.
What's the plan for testing as we go forward? I know there's an event at Navarra. Are you guys doing that? And then obviously the UK tests at Donington, Silverstone and Alton.
Yeah, there's some unofficial tests as well in Spain, which starts on the 1st of March. So we've got two tests there, which then leads into Navarra. So looking forward to doing a lot of laps on the bike and testing some new parts, and just keeping my mind away from racing until I go racing. So looking forward to trying all the new bits on the bike and getting back with the team and having some fun.
How much do you enjoy that side of things now with the test? Now you've got more experience you are an experienced British Superbike rider now. You did your little bit, you came back to stock, and now you're fully ensconced in British Superbikes now as a regular front runner. How much do you enjoy the development side now?
Yeah, I do enjoy it. I think in my own mind, I know that what you need to do to understand what's going on with the bike and what's new and what's old and what's working and what's not. So yeah, as well as that, you've just got to take your mind away from going for an ultimate lap time in testing. That's easily done, and that's easily forgotten of what you're not really trying to achieve on the day. So until it gets to maybe the last official test that we've got this year in the UK, then that's maybe when we'll have a go for putting our name up the front of the leaderboard.
Is there Now, there's always 2 different approaches to testing, isn't there? You can stay under the radar, or you can put a thimble full of fuel in and some really sticky tyres and go out and do a lap. Do you prefer to do the donkey work at the circuit? Similar way that Jason O'Halloran works in a similar way, because that's the important thing. But do you secretly still think, well, I'd love top of the timesheets for the team, for the sponsors? Some
days when you've been testing all day, it is nice to just go out and do a lap time, so you're not 15th on the sheet. But if you actually took all that apart, does it matter? Not really. So yeah, some days you can eat in your own head and think, oh, I want to be high, I want it. But if you actually think what the work's doing for later down the line, that's where the real work is. And yeah, definitely sometimes when the track's at its optimum temperature and you're at the best you've been riding that day, it is nice to get a good lap time in.
You're still a racer, aren't you? That's the thing. Yeah. That's what it's all about. New system for 2023, no showdown, new points, completely different way of working than there has been for the past 12 years. How much are you looking forward to having a more conventional championship?
I spoke about this to someone earlier. I'm just going to treat it how I did last year. I didn't even treat it as a showdown separate last year. I raced it as a full season. Once you're in the showdown, obviously it did bring us closer to the front, which was great, but at the same time it's not something that I was like holding out for. I wasn't thinking, I need the showdown. I work week in, week out, race by race. I don't look to the last 3 rounds of the year. So again, this year obviously the format's changed, but week in, week out I want the most points I can.
It's a refreshing outlook, I think, because too many people put too much emphasis, or did, on those final 3 rounds. And it does change the mentality, and we saw that in a lot of the racing. But if you keep that mentality across the season, nothing needs to change in the last 3 rounds. Yes, the points are different this year, but a more conventional championship, it's going to reward consistency, isn't it?
Yeah, as a racer, you know, consistency is key, and if you're being consistent week in, week out, when you get on your bike, you're naturally fast, and it just comes easier. So if I can keep that sort of mentality, and when it comes to the time that you need them, just extra points or that extra few seconds, or you know, just need to find a bit just to dig in, then naturally, hopefully, the consistency will take you there.
What are the differences with the bike this year? Have you been down to the workshop between last year's ZX10 to this year? Are there subtle changes?
Yeah, I've not visited the workshop too much, but I understand. I've been to see my crew chief at home, and we've got quite a few new parts from the KRT. They've given us some data. We've got a few bits coming from them, and we've got our own development scheme that we've done. So, yeah, the bike's going to be good. I believe it's in a better place already now before even riding it. So, as long as it performs on track as well as it should, then yeah, I'm looking forward to getting back out.
It was nice to see the help from the factory last year. Mick Shanley came to a couple of rounds, didn't he, and helped out a little bit. And if they're getting those parts and those direction from the factory team, it shows just how much regard the team are held in within Kawasaki.
Yeah, last year there was a bit of a middleman between Europe and England, which was nice. It gave us some feedback and gave us some data and just a bit of a ballpark figure in some areas, which, to be honest, we was already working in a close proximity. So,
well, you're winning races, so you weren't far away.
Yeah, we weren't far away. It was good. It was strong. The bike was good. It was consistent, and there weren't many weekends where we were really struggling. Maybe the odd one. So yeah, it was a strong year all round, and hopefully just get back to form this year.
Well, if we can hear the sprint starting up again, you need to be getting changed shortly. One more question: what's your best hire car story?
Best hire car story. I'm not 100% sure if this is true or not, but I was driving a hire car 2 years ago, and one morning I come back out to the car and the side of the car was written off. Not 100% sure if that was me on the way back from the track or whether someone had drove into my car overnight. But to this day, I still don't know and got away with it, so it's all right.
Full insurance,
yeah,
that's it. Thank you very much. It's not my problem. I have no idea what happened.
The €67 was a godsend there.
Oh, yeah. Lee Bob, good luck with the sprint for the rest of the weekend. All the best for 2023 with the Cheshire Mouldings FS3 Kawasaki team. We'll catch up at a round in the summer, and we'll wish you all the best.
Cheers, thank you very much.